Augustus and her fiance plan to hold their wedding here at the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis next May, even though same-sex marriage is not currently legal in Minnesota. This November, voters will decide on a constitutional amendment that would define marriage as a union between one man and one woman. The only American Ranger with experience playing in Japan, Colby Lewis, told me that Darvish is unlike any other Japanese player to come to the States.
I guess it's pretty comfortable to be like the Justin Timberlake of Japan. I mean, he's a huge name. He makes a boatload of money just in advertisements over there.
Yet again, Eric, here we are in Washington, D.C. The two sides are meeting, and you know what? If we were 3rd and 10 yesterday, we are 4th and long today as far as getting a deal done before that 11:59 deadline and that CBA expiring. Now, we did talk to some owners yesterday. The owners met up, huddled up in Dulles, Virginia, where you know what? No action was taken, no decision was made. Here's what they told us about how they feel going into today.
I still feel optimistic. The negotiations continue, and you know, I'm hopeful.
There's always progress when you're talking, when you're working forward. Like I said, watching these things go on for decades, you know, they evolve, and you can't really predict the speed and that sort of thing. So, or predict what happens, you know, even in a midnight hour.
They're still talking.
Positive.
As long as they're talking, it's positive, right?
Are you feeling optimistic right now?
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, hopeful is the operative word there. You know, Woody Johnson adding to us, the reason that he's in sports is that he's optimistic. What then are you interested in? What do you want to get into next for memorabilia, or are you done?
I think I'm done, because what do I do? What matches or even complements the Ruth Ringen contract?
He's not returning your calls. You say that the probe into the team's finances has a predetermined outcome. Do you think you're effectively being forced out by Major League Baseball?
It sure seems that way to me.
Hinch and 20 cousins are going to split the money evenly. The rest of the cards will be on display here in Baltimore at the National Sports Collectors Convention. As for that attic, the family says it's all cleared out. The MLS did have a serious labor dispute this year. It's not as popular as other leagues, including basketball and football in this country. So why the MLS? Why not stay in Europe and make more money there, especially in the French league?
First of all, it wasn't like a matter of money. I wanted to come here and compete for New York. I love the town. I always said to myself, one day I would like to defend the colors of New York, and obviously I'm going to have to do it playing football or soccer as you say.
But the swoosh is about to make a big splash in 2012 when Nike becomes the official outfitter to the NFL, a move which raises the stakes for Under Armour to protect its apparel and its cleat business, a unit that it's actively promoting at the title game here in Arizona. What doesn't seem to be limiting demand for this game is controversy surrounding one of college football's biggest stars this year, Heisman winner Cam Newton, who's been dogged by allegations that his father sought a 6-figure payment for him to play at Auburn. Carol, great news for football fans here. Players and owners meeting behind me in the building in Midtown Manhattan are closer than they've ever been to a deal. Researchers at Virginia Tech studied almost 1 million impacts and found that the Rydell VSR-4, a helmet widely used in the NFL and in college football, was the second lowest rated helmet for preventing concussions. The Longhorn Network builds on a sports dynasty here at the University of Texas. It reported revenue of over $140 million in 2010, making it the richest sports program in the nation. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the course, not a creature was stirring except for Caddy Claus, who was making a lot of noise. A 3-point game that could come down to the kicker. Now, if he makes it, New York's got another Folk hero. Jets fans just have to hope the numbers are on his side.
Michelle, you reported that Robert Griffin III's Heisman win was worth upwards of $250 million to Baylor University. What is this going to be worth for Texas A&M?
Steve, obviously it's early on in this process, but it's already been worth millions. I talked to Joyce Julius, which is a media management firm, and they measure all of the media mentions since Saturday's win. And apparently the media coverage to Texas A&M alone is worth $50 million, and that's just since Saturday. You know, this is all about A&M shaking loose their old identity, is kind of playing second fiddle to Texas.
in the Big 12 and finding this new identity in the SEC. Now, as far as donations, it's still very early on, but the school tells me they are closing in on $7 million worth of donations since that Alabama win, with significant donations since Saturday. And remember, the school is also planning to announce a brand new expansion to their facility, to their stadium, and that'll be made this spring. So already it's been millions, not quite $250 million, but we'll have to wait more to see that number.
Michele, what is this Heisman worth for Johnny Manziel himself?
Well, not as much as you might expect. You know, thanks to NCAA rules, he's not really allowed to become Johnny Cash yet. He's still eligible as a redshirt freshman, though. He can't enter the NFL after next season, so we'll see what kind of contract he gets in the NFL. Now, Steve, he did add about 50,000 followers since winning, or an increase of about 50%, so 152,000 or so, which is a whole bunch of followers since just last Saturday. But I did ask an old Heisman winner, Andre Ware, who won it in 1989, you know, if you win the Heisman, are you set for life? And he said, no, not at all. But it depends on like what kind of lifestyle you want. You know, you can make something like $50,000 a year just for signing autographs and going to media appearances, doing a couple golf outings a year, which does not necessarily make it rain money, but $50,000 a year, I'm not saying no.
Today we're doing at least 50 baseballs, 2 sets of bases. We collect any broken or cracked bats.
Wendell West is one of a team of MLB authenticators whose only job is to certify that what's game used truly is game used. The Nationals' playoff run is especially significant, namely because they're the first DC team to make it into the MLB postseason since 1933. It was historic then and it's historic now, except now history has its own serial number.
Game 3's first pitch is high and away.
The first pitch baseball comes off the field immediately, given a serial number and a tamper-proof hologram sticker. A paper record is also kept just in case.
What it represents really is that good housekeeping seal of approval. You know, once you see that hologram, you know it's an authentic item. You know you're getting the real thing with that.
As a retired sergeant in the D.C. police force, West is used to keeping his eyes focused on the task at hand. In this case, any broken bats or game-used balls.
Basically, we have to be in position to actually witness it, because we can't authenticate an item that's not witnessed. So we're in a strategic place in the dugout where we can see it actually pitched and come off the field.
Back in the tunnel behind home plate, even the special postseason base plates are changed out after the 3rd inning. An authenticator is there to see it all happen. In the team store, you can buy everything from a $300 game-used base plate to a $75 game-used ball to this $100 locker room-used bottle of champagne from when the Nats clinched, all, of course, authenticated. When the game ends, the authenticators gather in a special room underneath the stadium. There, the day's take is categorized.
58 game-used balls, game-used lineup cards, game-worn jersey, and we did 1 game-used broken bat by Ryan Zimmerman on his single.
You know, we're here just to witness and really record the history of the game and make sure that, you know, we do our part in that.
Seimone Augustus has her sights set on another Olympic gold medal and WNBA championship ring. But she's also pursuing a different kind of ring, a wedding ring. Augustus is one of the very few professional athletes who's openly gay, and now outspoken about her desire to marry her girlfriend of 5 years, Tay Varner.
He has done an exceptional job. Augustus for 3!
A standout at LSU, Augustus was drafted #1 overall by the Minnesota Lynx in 2006. Yet in the pros, just as in college, championship success had eluded her. Just 6 games into the 2009 season, she suffered a devastating knee injury, putting her career in jeopardy. Then, during rehab, she learned her father, Seymour, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
It was just a very tough situation. It was even tougher when I would have to call home and my mom would, you know, update me on how my dad's doing. And it's like, he didn't have a good day today, you know, he was hurting, or he couldn't get around the house, you know, without a walker.
An emergency hysterectomy in the 2010 preseason only added to Augustus's struggles. Her mother, Kim, says through it all, Seimone had Tay by her side.
Everything she's been through, Tay's been there with her. So that makes a big difference to have somebody that's with you and helping support you, helping you to rehab, being there for you when your parents can't be there.
An only child and an athletic phenom, Augustus had the unwavering support of her parents growing up in Baton Rouge. But she says it was still nerve-wracking coming out to them as a teenager when she was forced to explain a hickey.
And I said, "What is that?" And she says, "What?" And I said, "What is that on your neck?" And she, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Who did that?" And she was like, "Oh, you know."
She was like, "So you're telling me what I think you're telling me?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She was like, "So you're gay?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am."
And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I turned around and went on back outside.
Although she had the support of her parents, it would be a decade before she spoke about her sexuality publicly.
I'm 28 years old and I still have yet to see, a gay or lesbian couple, walk down the street and be openly, gay in the South, at least where I'm from. We're still getting over black and white issues down South. So to think that, they're ready to accept, open, gay and lesbian people would be a bit of a stretch.
Do you think things are changing among athletes in general, both men and women, as far as support for other gay athletes?
I think so. I think it's becoming more of a warmer environment. People don't look down on you as much or judge you, especially for females. We tend to be those sensitive, nurturing, beings that want to try to help you get through tough situations, whether it be personal or basketball or whatever. So it's a lot easier, for, I feel, a female athlete to be able to come out and get that support.
Do you think that's why there have been no men that have come out thus far?
I don't know. I don't know how the male system works. I'm quite sure it's probably a tough process.
Augustus says that she started feeling more comfortable about being open about her sexuality after meeting Varner 5 years ago in a Minneapolis nightclub. Augustus proposed on a beach in Miami in late 2010.
It's one of those highlighted moments of my life. She got creative and had like a sand sculpture made, and yeah, it was nice. It was really nice.
At the time, the couple only told family and close friends as Augustus prepared for another season, one that would prove to be a breakout one in which she led the Lynx to its first championship, earning finals MVP. Her parents say happiness in her personal life resulted in a freer Simone on the court.
That was the Simone that Seymour and I had been looking for quite some time. And I think it was just a weight off her shoulder after everything she had gone through and trying to live the life that she was living.
I just told her, listen, let your wings fly, be yourself. Your daddy and mama got your back if nobody else appreciated it.
Just days ahead of the 2012 season, Augustus shared her plans to marry Varner in an article in the gay and lesbian news magazine, The Advocate. The following month, she was invited to be co-grand marshal of a gay pride parade in the Twin Cities.
Was there any concern that it would impact your career?
No, no concern about it impacting my career. I didn't even think about it because I was on such a, a high note, like as far as being happy with who I am. It really didn't, matter, what anybody else thought.
Augustus also says that since coming out and discussing her upcoming marriage, she has received no pushback from the WNBA or her sponsor, Nike.
It really was a non-issue. Like no one, like I said, every text, every call, every email, any type of communication that I've received has been positive.
Augustus and her fiancé plan to hold their wedding here at the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis next May, even though same-sex marriage is not currently legal in Minnesota. This November, voters will decide on a constitutional amendment that would define marriage as a union between one man and one woman. Regardless of what happens with that initiative, the couple says they will still hold their ceremony and are prepared to go to another state to make their marriage legal.
Before, you're a little bit afraid, like, well, maybe I'll lose some fans, or, people look at me in a negative way. But the people that love you, they want to be a part of who you are. And as you open up and become yourself, the better it is for the fans to love you and embrace you even more.
better to give us an insider tour of the Barclays Center than none other than Chris Humphries, one of the Nets' starting five here. So, Chris, I got to ask, are you used to this yet?
It's unbelievable. I'm kind of taking it all in. If you look around, it's a phenomenal place. Can't wait to hear the Brooklyn chant, you know, we're just looking forward to it. This is a state-of-the-art building, so everywhere we go.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's all about the finger scan.
So someone would have to be pretty diabolical to actually be able to get in here.
They would have to cut off
They would
my
have to cut
finger.
off your finger.
This is the weight room. Sometimes we'll work out after games if we have a day off the next day and we just want to get a quick workout in. This is a really nice space for like in arenas. You don't see this a lot.
Who goes on the elliptical machine?
I don't know. People who don't want to work out that hard. This is the hot and cold tub. I usually get in here after games. It's really, really cold.
Do you guys have to bring your own trunks, or do they have like team-issued swimsuit gear?
It's a birthday suit in here. No, I'm kidding.
Did you guys have these in Newark?
Nah, we didn't have anything in there. Next, we're headed this way. Let me check and make sure everyone's, since you were asking about birthday suits earlier.
Speaking of birthday suits, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Come on. This right here is the Players Lounge. Today's Sunday, so we got football going. In Newark, we had the locker room and Players Lounge was probably the size of this room right here. So we're moving up. We're moving on up. We've moved up. This is my locker right here. Yep, got a charger. Nice big robe. I haven't used this yet. I don't know where the key is for this. I don't really know what that is. New carpet. We try to tell people don't walk on the B over here.
How are they going to keep that white?
People aren't going to walk on it. So yeah, this right here, this platform like spins.
This is crazy.
So like a semi-truck can come in here, they can spin it around, back it in, and then just drive straight out. You want to go in the elevator?
Yeah, totally.
So excited. Come on, guys.
So is the elevator moving?
Yeah, we're moving up right now. Now we're upstairs. Boom. Yeah, I'll sign a couple for these guys. I'll just stop right there. Were you guys in there today?
Yeah. Your best smile, your best smile.
See you guys.
So that's the latest from Chris Humphries. Thanks for giving us the insider tour. And get home safe.
I will.
Do you know how to get home from here?
I think so.
Okay.
Hopefully I don't get lost. If I do, I'll have to call one of you guys.
Yeah, there's Google Maps. So.
Google Maps, whatever.
Yu Darvish, the latest Japanese star to come to the States to elevate his game. Like Ichiro Suzuki, Hideki Matsui, and Daisuke Matsuzaka before him, Darvish comes with a lot of hype, eye-popping stats, an ERA below 2, and a high-priced posting fee that the Rangers paid for the right to negotiate for his services. But that may be where the similarities end. With his rock star persona, 6'5" stature, and charisma, advertisers and league sources say the 25-year-old Darvish is unlike any other major leaguer they've seen come from Japan. Akuma Isaac is following Yu Darvish now for Nippon TV.
He is by far the biggest rock star. I mean, beyond just being a baseball player, I think he's the biggest celebrity in Japan, bar none. More famous than the Prime Minister. He's up there, I think, honestly, without exaggerating, up there with the emperor.
Further away from the Japanese reporters that follow his every move, Darvish knows the attention he gets up to this point is anything but ordinary.
I mean, am I the type of player to get all this attention? I still don't know. I'm not here to play around. I'm here to, play baseball. And that, that's what I do. And I don't know what else to say, but I'm here to play baseball.
While Darvish conducts interviews through an interpreter, he speaks to his coaches and teammates in English. A Rangers source says at this point in his career, his knowledge of English is light years ahead of other Japanese stars that have come before him. His willingness to speak English might prove to be very lucrative in the U.S. Why? Well, Darvish isn't just a pitcher in Japan, he's a pitch man extraordinaire. Thrust into the public spotlight straight out of high school to Japan's Premier League, the half-Japanese, half-Iranian Darvish is no wallflower. He's gained exposure from almost nude photo spreads to magazine covers to endorsements with Seiko and Nike. According to NMA World Edition, he's generated $258 million in Japanese ad revenue alone in the month of January. At Rangers spring training camp in Arizona, fans lined up outside the team store to buy one of the hottest selling jerseys. And the league's official jersey supplier, Majestic, says Darvish's Rangers jersey is already one of the top sellers in advance of the season opener this year. The Rangers are paying Darvish $60 million over 6 years, but are looking to capitalize on him in ways beyond the field. They recently closed a sponsorship deal with a Japanese video game developer, and all of Darvish's starts will be broadcast in Japan, with a chance that all Rangers games will be televised there live as well.
I think it brings a lot of attention to our club, so it definitely helps us in that regard and bringing fans to our team. And I'm glad he's on my team.
I think he's going to fit well here, and I think the following is going to be pretty cool as far as Japan, getting more games broadcasted there, and hopefully ESPN if they pick up a couple here and there. We'll see.
The only American Ranger with experience playing in Japan, Colby Lewis, told me that Darvish is unlike any other Japanese player to come to the States.
I guess it's pretty comfortable to be like the Justin Timberlake of Japan. I mean, he's a huge name. He makes a boatload of money just in advertisements over there.
I would say he's sort of the Hollywood star caliber, like the Brad Pitt. If he went out and did something, of course, there's going to be cameras all over the place looking for him, hunting him down, and that's pretty much the kind of life he leads. Personality, pitching, and maybe a third straight World Series appearance for the Rangers, Darvish just might be the first Japanese player whose marketability and exposure matches his prowess on the field. Michele Steele, ESPN.com. Welcome in, I'm Michele Steele, here now to digest new disclosures in the Manti Te'o story is Catfish creator and host Nev Schulman, who joins me now via Skype. So Nev, what do you make of the latest disclosure here that Manti briefly lied about his online girlfriend after discovering she didn't exist? Does that impact your belief that he was more likely than not a victim in all of this?
I think, if anything, my feeling is, and having been through this and having know how embarrassing it can be to admit that you, in fact, were the victim of a hoax like this, I think it just proves that he was maybe aware that some of this had, been fake, didn't know what to do, and of course, on a national scale, the implications of admitting that your girlfriend not only was not dead, but also may not have existed, is humiliating. And I can understand why he wouldn't want to, or certainly wouldn't know how to make this information public.
I'm curious, one of the most difficult to understand aspects of the story, for me at least, is the perpetrator's endgame. It didn't seem to be sex, it didn't seem to be money. Based on your understanding of what's happened so far, I guess, what was the point?
Well, that's the big question, the motive. Why would someone do this? And, it's interesting, since the Manti story was released last week, I've received countless emails from people who strongly believe that they are the victim of a hoax perpetrated by the same person, because they've been duped and they've been in a relationship with all of the same storylines and strange happenings as Manti. And none of them had an end game either. It just seems that there's a loneliness, and there are people who prefer to conduct themselves in deceptive ways using the internet rather than, being accountable and authentic in real life. And it could be entertainment, it could be boredom, it could be, negative feelings towards a football player who plays for a team that you don't like. I mean, there are really infinite reasons as to why someone might choose to engage in these fake catfish relationships.
You know, I want to talk about the transcript of the interview. I was going through it. There's an astounding amount of detail, everything from sharing scripture with his family to her faking her death because she was allegedly trailed by drug dealers. You know, a lot of very granular details. Do you think that that adds or subtracts from his credibility? Does that make him more believable or less so because maybe he was coached to say those things?
Well, again, I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me in the last week with stories of their own that are almost identical to this one. And I think the fact that he was sharing, like you said, personal stories, verses of scripture, just sort of only indicates that the closeness with which he felt to this girl, Lene, was really based on a very intimate and personal exchange. And that is really what we see. It's obviously with the absence of a physical relationship, there is a replacement of emotional conversation and sort of personal revealing statements. So it doesn't surprise me at all that both he and his family were involved in a very close communication.
How often do you see sort of a spiritual aspect to these kinds of catfish situations?
Very often we see that. Not only is it something that usually connects people initially with a belief in whichever religion they might be discussing, but we see it used very much in regards to almost a sense of guilt. The idea that you share this connection, that you both believe in this very powerful spirituality together, and then when the catfish becomes ill or sick or has a family tragedy, oftentimes they leverage that spiritual connection in a way to keep you close and make you, or in this case Manti, feel responsible to them and feel responsible to continue supporting them because you've shared this very deep religious spiritual exchange.
Finally here, you mentioned that you're receiving many emails from people who think they were duped by the same person. Do you think that there's more to this Manti Te'o story?
Well, I think like everybody else, I'm very curious to see where this all leads and what the end game is, who's behind it and why. I don't think at this point, having very seriously investigated a number of these other seemingly related cases, that there is a connection or that this is a larger web of people or lies. But the truth is, what I'd love to do is, once we do identify who's behind this, I think everybody's going to want to know why they did it, see if we can get some kind of an explanation, and then hopefully better understand not only why they, but why other people do it, because there's obviously a larger connection that goes beyond the details of this case with people who really choose to engage in these fake online relationships.
Nev Schulman, fascinating as always. Check out his show on MTV. He's the host and the creator. It's called Catfish, documentary of the same name as well. Nev, thanks so much. Again, I'm Michele. Steele will be following this story as it develops. See you next time.